Would you say I have a reasonable understanding of how to execute these various sex acts properly?
Yes.
How awesome is that? What you're doing is disgusting. Listen, lady.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's good to see you once again. Today I'm joined by the incredibly handsome, the never-aging, the human vampire that is Troy Francis. Troy,
thank you, sir. Very, very much appreciated. What an intro. What an amazing intro.
Thank you. Hey, straight away, we've already got a super chat straight in the building. Ryan Acevenda.
Let's go.
Super chat. Thank you very much, sir.
Awesome.
Yoshi has asked, did you wake up with morning wood today? Yes, sir. Yes,
Every morning.
Yes,
what do you mean wake up? It's just permanent.
It's always there. It never goes away. I just walk around bumping into things.
Yeah.
And I can't close doors very well. No, it's look, it's good to have you back again, mate. You haven't been on my channel in a while, and you have something very exciting to bring to the world today. And I kind of got on this a bit late. It's like it's a bit rushed because we've only got a day or so before the price goes up or whatever. But I want everyone on my channel to see what you're offering with your new program, because there's so much fucking drama in this space right now, and a lot of the drama in the space right now has to do with receipts. Everyone's asking for receipts of this and that, and it's like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
And I never get called out on this because my receipts are literally on Pornhub for the whole world. You can see what I know. You can see that I know what I'm talking about because the proof's right there.
Yes.
But when it comes to dating coaches and things, everyone is always sort of questioning each other and trying to expose somebody else. And then Troy here comes along and he's like, look, motherfuckers, look, I've got all this infield footage. I'm going to put it out here, and I'm not only going to show you everything, I'm going to narrate the whole goddamn thing as well.
Exactly.
Finally, yes, finally, so something that these guys can latch onto and see, like, play by play, how a pickup is done. Because I think that's something everyone's been too afraid to do this, Troy. Recently, and in the last several years, like when all these sort of bigger PUA companies sort of started disappearing, like several years ago, right? They were doing lots of infield and stuff, and then that all disappeared, and now everyone was sort of too afraid to do it because of Me Too and litigation and all these kinds of things. And it's like, yes, okay, finally, Troy has put his cojones on the line and is showing guys exactly what to do.
Exactly. Well, thank you for that. The program is called Dating Conversation Success, and what it is, it's got a whole bunch of real life examples of interactions with women on it that that so you can see.
Heaven forbid.
Yeah, amazingly.
With a real life woman. You heard
I
it
know.
here.
Amazing. So you actually get to see it. But then what we have with each video, there's about 22 of these ones that we've selected, and they're all selected for different reasons, and there's different sections within this as well, by the way. So the interactions, it's not all the same kind of interaction. There's some different ones, but what you get is the raw video, and then you get after it a breakdown video where you've got me sitting there and just basically talking you through what's happening. So you were on that Rule Zero thing that we did a while back, weren't you? The Rule Zero event. And I did the same thing on that. It's where you show the video and then you stop the video and say, right, so this is what I'm doing at that point, and this is what she's doing. This is how I'm reacting. This is how she's reacting, etc., etc. And so I've used that format. So it's quite, there's a lot of material in there, but then there's some theory stuff as well. So I've got an hour-long video where I'm talking about the 12 principles of conversation, really, really key stuff. I've got a an ebook that fills that out even further, 60-page ebook, which goes through that, plus an audiobook narrated by none other than Mr. Jack Napier, which the beautifully voiced Jack Napier, which goes through the whole thing. And there's another video about daytime approach as well, day game, where we talk through the rudiments of day game. So you've got there's a nice balance between the theory, but also the practical side of things as well.
Yep. And that's good. I mean, it's because a lot of dudes have never really, especially if you don't hang around with men who are good with women, right? If you've never hung around, if you've never had a wingman, if you've never been out, especially nowadays, the last fucking year, heaven forbid being a younger man who's never got to go to clubs and stuff, right? You've never seen what a successful interaction with a woman looks like.
Yes, exactly. And I think it is important to show this stuff. Now, I've made a personal decision. I made a personal decision a while ago. I had some stuff on YouTube, and I ended up taking it all down for various reasons. Partly because of the sort of climate at the time, and partly because of personal stuff and whatever. So I took it all down. I may reverse that at some point. My friend and colleague James Tusk, he's got a load of Infields up there, and his channel's fine and everything. So I might reverse that at some point, but we'll see. But as a teaching aid, because guys are like, receipts, and that's sort of all BS, really. That's just people trying to throw shade at you. But as a teaching aid, these kinds of videos are really, really good, because it's all very well us talking theoretically, saying, oh, well, say to her she looks nice, and then tease her, and then do this. But unless you actually see it, it's all a bit theoretical, right?
And that's it. You kind of learn through osmosis just by watching some of this stuff and being around that. Yeah.
Well, I've learned so much from watching other people's Infields, and so basically you can nick stuff. You can think, oh, well, I'm going to say that next time, or I'm whatever. So
there's nothing wrong with stealing shit from other dudes. There's nothing wrong. Dudes are some guys have this attitude of oh, everything I say has to be 100% original, and all has to be all me. Look, half the shit that you believe. Actually, no, I'll say that again. Most of the things that you believe are someone else's opinion in the first place. There's very few original thoughts floating around in the world.
True.
So why do you think that the things that come out of your mouth have to be so fucking original? It's come on, man.
Didn't Picasso say something about a great artist steals?
Yeah.
Something like that. So not that I'm putting myself up there with Picasso, but you know what I'm saying.
But it's not. It's that, and it's the old principle, the Bruce Lee principle, right? Of Jeet Kune Do. You take what works for you, and you discard what doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? And then you find something that's uniquely your own. So you're borrowing. You borrow, right, from as many different people as you can, and then you start to develop something that's just the combination of all these things are distinctly you. Right.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing as well, because there shouldn't be a template for this, really. Well, there is. All right. There is kind of a template. There's a structure. So in the course, I talk about what's called the London day game model, which is basically a 5-step structure. And then I talk about, I actually say, well, look, actually, you can simplify it even further. You can just have 4 steps. And there's, broadly speaking, right, anytime that you speak to a woman that you're attracted to, and you progress that forward, you're going to do certain things. You've got to introduce yourself. You've got to talk about some shit. You've got to then show her that you're also a decent, normal-ish guy. And then you've got to get contact details, or you've got to, I don't know, take her on a date, or, do whatever, right? So those things are going to be pretty universal. They're always sort of going to happen. But beyond that, as long as you're hitting those notes, the way in which you do it and the things that you say, that should be personal to you. It shouldn't be learn this script, learn these lines.
Yeah. And that is the problem with just using lines and scripts and stuff like that, is because you don't see the emotion behind them.
Yes.
Right. And I remember this back in my 20s when I was in the POA circles in Australia, going out to bars and stuff with dudes. And I had some friends who were dating, who ended up becoming assistants of some very big dating coaches for some big companies. And so I would hang out with those guys, and we'd get lots of newcomers sort of coming out on nights out with us to try and learn from us. And you'd see guys they'd read something on the internet, and then they'd try it out in a bar.
Yeah.
And they've missed the point of it.
Like
they're just like trying to regurgitate a line, but they've missed the energy behind the line. They've missed the emotion behind the line. They've missed the purpose behind the line. And it's like, okay, this is why you've got to be around dudes who've done this. Like, this is why it helps to see someone else who's better than you doing it.
Yeah, exactly. That's very true. And you do see this actually when you are working with guys. So last weekend, I was teaching a boot camp event in London with James Tusk, who's a prominent day game guy with quite a big channel himself. And so we're working together on various things. And we did this event in London with a few guys. And it was really great. It was really, really cool. Really great bunch of guys. We did a 4-day event, very tiring. Nice. But really, really cool. And obviously we always learn stuff as well. So that's good. But yeah, sort of, so seeing this stuff actually on the front line, face to face, actually being actually there and being involved and teaching these guys, what you see is that not necessarily actually with this particular group, but what I have seen in the past is guys who they sort of know the theory because they've read some stuff or they've watched a few videos or whatever, but they don't really know why they're doing it. And so when they do it, it comes across as very stilted and a bit robotic.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So it's breaking out of that and bringing some of your own personality into it as well. Yep.
And that's it. And it's seeing a guy expressing his personality correctly. Seeing a guy like being confident in expressing his personality, being congruent in expressing his personality, being, and having a woman enjoy that and love that and be being swept off her feet by that.
Yes.
Because most, like I said before, most guys who don't have very, very limited experience with women, who have never say cold approached a woman and picked her up and then made something, taken nothing and then turned it into something romantic, right?
Yes,
that's a very rare skill set. Like, not many men on this planet can do that.
Well, it's
quite remarkable.
It is, and it's a shame, really, that more people don't do it, because it does give you a greater degree of control in your dating and romantic life. Now, I was just doing a video on my channel. I was saying it's not total control, because you can never have total control. It's not like, I'll just do this stuff and you're guaranteed, or you're going to pull every single girl that you like, or whatever.
No, of course not.
Or whatever. But it does give you much more control than you would have had otherwise, because the other option, well, apart from Tinder, but the other option effectively, really, and maybe this even includes Tinder, is to be the chosen one rather than to be the selector. You're sitting around waiting. Okay, which woman is going to choose me? And if you're Chad, then okay, maybe you get some really attractive women who choose you. But and maybe that's all right for you for a while. But for the average dude, you're kind of sitting around waiting to be chosen, and that's not. I don't believe that's a good way to run your life.
No, and that's actually a female strategy. Right?
Yes.
And I had this conversation with a friend the other day. I said, if I was to sum up every piece of dating advice that I'd ever heard from a woman, you could sum it all up in one sentence. And that sentence would be, just wait for things to happen. That's basically, any time a woman gives a guy dating advice, you can pretty much reword it to be just wait for things to happen, which is terrible advice for any man to take, because men have to make shit happen.
Yeah, exactly. And of course that's what women generally do. And I'm not saying that to be derogatory. It's just that's culturally, that's sort of just, and many women today, even in the age of feminism, many women will not like to approach guys. They want the guy to take the lead. And that's just how things are. So that kind of is the female strategy to a large extent, which is fine, maybe fine for them. But as guys, we can't really afford to take that strategy, because if you're waiting for something to happen, the problem is that if nothing ever happens, you're just sitting there waiting. And secondly, it's just not a very... I do think that guys should be... Somebody called it being the hunter, but I do think guys should be entrepreneurial, let's say, in all aspects of their lives. It's like, okay, so I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make something happen. And you can do that in business. You can do that in various, with travel, with social stuff and things. But you can also do it in dating. It's like you say, creating something out of nothing is an amazing thing. when it works, when it all goes to plan. It's like it's such an amazing thing.
And it's really a incredible confidence boosting skill set to develop, because like you're doing something that most men, let's be honest, in this day and age, most men are afraid to go and talk to a woman
because of the political stuff.
Well, not even. I mean, there's that, but even before the whole Me Too thing, dudes were still afraid to go up and talk to girls. You know,
yes,
it's like men had this sort of fear of rejection of women.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But like once just the regular act of accepting that fear and acting in spite of it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't succeed, you get a tremendous boost of confidence out of it because you did something you were afraid to do.
Yes.
Like you did something that like, and you can look back and be like, fuck me, most men on the planet wouldn't have the balls to go up and talk to that woman.
Exactly.
Even though it didn't go well, even if it didn't go well.
Yeah,
and if it does go well, then you've just done something that, like, we're literally talking like less than 5% of men on the planet can do or have ever done. I'm not even. I really think that's like. I mean, what? Let me ask you that then. Right? What percentage of men on the planet do you think, honestly, have the skill set to walk up to a complete stranger and then turn it into something romantic?
Well, it must be very low. It must be very, very low. It might be less than 5%. Right, like you said, I mean, it's hard to obviously put an exact figure, but it's very, very low because most guys are playing the "I'm going to wait and see what happens" card, and even and even the so-called chads. In fact, maybe especially those guys are playing that hand because they perhaps have less of a need to, or they feel like so. But in saying that, even if you are if you happen to be watching this and you are 6'2" and you're an Adonis and all the rest of it, that's great. That's great. But even then, so Tusk, my friend who I work with, he's a good-looking guy. He's over 6'1", whatever. And even he will often say, when he was just relying on that strategy, when he was waiting to be chosen, you very rarely get chosen by the women you want to be chosen by. You might get might get the odd girl indicating interest or coming over or something, but it's not the ones that you want.
That's exactly right, mate. Even that's a key point right there. Because guys will be like, "Oh, look, I'm not good looking. This dude is good looking. He gets all the women come to him." But you're absolutely right. It's not the girls that he would pick. I mean, I think the ones that he wants are the ones that everyone wants, and those women are getting hit up by dudes who have skills.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing right there. So either way, you have to, if you really want like quality women in your life, you better learn the skills to go and attract them.
And sorry.
Go on.
And I was going to say, and what it all comes down to, really one of the key pillars of the whole thing is basically conversation or being able to talk to them, right? Because in most cases, which sounds fucking so ridiculously simple, but but the thing is, in most cases, you're going to have to. I can't believe I'm saying this. Really, you're going to have to talk to her, unless you're at one of those parties that me and Sterling go to. In which case,
there's not much talking going on.
But no, I mean, like, yes, maybe if you're at the Cancun phone party, whatever, those things of course happen. But in general, what's going to happen is you're going to see an attractive woman either at the bar, the club, or in Starbucks or whatever it is. You're going to think, damn, I've got to go and make something happen. You're going to have to go up to her and you're going to have to talk to her. And probably, in most cases, you're going to have at least one date with her as well, or even just meeting for a drink. So you need to become adept socially. You need to become adept at holding a conversation, being entertaining, but being flirtatious at the same time, and having it lead in the right direction as well. That's the other thing.
Yeah. That is knowing. I always looked at it, right. Whenever I always kind of looked at conversations as like with a woman, right? As in my mind, the structure I use was there's certain waypoints along the way, like sort of. I imagined in my head, like this sort of footpath, and then along the way, like the start of the footpath is like meeting her, like saying hello, and the end of the footpath is like going back to my place or whatever, right? Yeah. And along that footpath, there's certain signposts that are along the way, which are like reminders for me to like, now I need to sort of talk about, or now I need to get some kind of like qualification out of it. Now I need to get some kind of Now I need to build some attraction. Now I need to build some comfort. Now I need to get a number or an Instagram close or something. And there's like certain things, right, along the way that reminded me like, oh, I need to make sure I get this done to lead it where I need it to go.
Yes, exactly.
Otherwise, you're just sort of floundering around and spinning your wheels in a conversation going nowhere. And it's funny when I'm on, one of the things I see very, very often on dating apps is girls will say in their bio, "I'm actually looking to go out on a date with somebody. I'm not looking for a guy who's just gonna have conversations with me here on this app." They phrase it differently, but that's kind of what they're saying. The crux of what they're saying. So many, even on dating apps, so many dudes are just sitting there having a lame back and forth conversation that doesn't go anywhere.
Yes, that's very true. And that's something that I address in the course, because the other thing that you get is you get guys who, even if they do go and speak to a girl that they're interested in and they have a bit of banter, they have a bit of rapport, but then they don't ask for the number at the end, or they don't ask her on a date at the end or whatever, because, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, it might be because they just don't know that they kind of got to do that. They just hadn't had the structure in their head. And secondly, as well, guys can be reluctant to do that because they worry that they've had those good vibes. You know, if the conversation's been good, they're like, oh yeah, this is kind of cool. She likes me, blah blah blah. And then they don't want to push it to that next stage because if you say
they might lose it, they might lose it.
Exactly. But you need to break through that. And you've got to think, listen, I'm just going to okay, I might get rejected. Or maybe she'll come out on the date with me and she'll reject me then. Or maybe, yes, of course, you could fail at any point. But if you don't try, then you've automatically failed.
Exactly. You've already lost.
Yeah.
So there's no point.
And what interested me when I was sort of putting this together and writing the book and so on is that the book that comes with the course is that we're talking about a very specific sort of conversation here, aren't we? So this isn't conversation skills for business or for networking or something. This is very specific to conversations with women, and they are slightly different. I mean, yes, you're talking to obviously other human beings, and you're having a laugh and whatever, but you've got to have certain key things in there, and namely, you've got to. I suppose the most important things are you've got to bring a bit of flirtation into it, and I talk about flirtatious banter in the book and in the course because that's key. You've got to inject some sort of sexuality into it because otherwise you're just having a chinwag. And also it's got to lead somewhere. You've got to close because if you don't,
it's so easy for a woman to put you in like the nice platonic guy bucket.
Yeah.
Like
exactly
the friend zone bucket, or the dude that is like, which is basically like 99% of the men she meets in her life get put into that bucket because they're boring, they're nice. There's no sexual charge to her interaction with them. And once you start down that path of being like the boring platonic nice guy, it's very, very difficult to get out of that. So how you start the conversation, your first impression with a woman is very, very important. How you guide and lead that conversation, and like you said, how you inject like flirtatious banter, how you inject that sexuality into the conversation dictates to her, oh, this is a romantic interaction. This guy isn't looking to be my friend. This guy's looking to fuck, and it's and she needs to know that because women kind of know that damn near every guy who talks to them is trying to fuck them. But they don't look at them all as potential sexual partners because they don't come across as potential sexual partners. Yeah,
and again, people might think, the naysayers might think, well, it's all about looks. If you're good looking enough, you get through, and if you're not good looking enough, you don't get through. But it's not as simple as that because what is good looking? I mean, there are guys. So if you watch, I was watching another reality dating show last night, and there were some guys, good-looking guys, going on dates with women and then getting friend zoned. Yeah, and it's kind of like, well, why does that guy get friend zoned? Because on the surface, good-looking guy, tall, good jaw structure, bone structure, all the rest of it. A good-looking guy still gets friend zoned. Whereas another guy who is also good-looking, but maybe in a different way, or even slightly less good-looking, gets the seal of approval. Why is that? well, it's not about looks as such. It's about something else, you know, and that something else is what you need to inject.
And dude, I've seen like I'm a relatively good-looking dude, and I was terrible with women in my early 20s. Terrible. Like, no, I could not get them to look at me twice, and that should tell you everything you need to know. And I had plenty of friends in my 20s who were good-looking dudes who had the same problem. It has gotten like I cannot fucking stand these people who are like, oh, it's all about looks and shit. No, motherfucker, I know that it's not about looks. No woman is going to jump onto my dick from across the fucking room just because I'm attractive looking. Yeah. If I come across as a complete pussy, she's like, here's the thing. If you're it's actually kind of like a double-edged sword. If you're a good-looking dude, if you don't come across congruent with that, in her mind, you are even weirder than the ugly dude who's like kind of.
That's true. That's true. And actually, yeah, it's been said before that actually women can sometimes punish a good-looking dude more for not shaping, you know, for not being that guy in the conversation, right?
Yep, totally. Because if I step up to a girl and talk to her, she's expecting a level of confidence and swagger from me. And if I don't deliver on that, she's like, "Oh, who you?" It's like it's a real visceral negative reaction. Versus like if a regular looking dude comes up to me, she's not. Her expectations of him are so much lower. So then if he comes in and blows her out of the water with like some real smooth talking game, then she's like, "Damn, this motherfucker's got swagger." She doesn't expect it, so it's more impactful.
Yeah,
you know.
But this kind of thing could, like, I remember one time I'd gone to a sort of private gathering, like a little party sort of thing, and there was this girl there, and I saw that. That's a good comment. And there was this girl there, and she clearly just liked me, right? She clearly was just, you know, she was looking over, she was smiling, blah blah blah. You know, she clearly was just into me, right? So when that happens, then the looks part of the equation is the box is kind of ticked, right? Because if she's just, you know, she just likes you, whatever, right? And I went over, and this was a few years ago, and I was very in my head at that time. I'd been working on this academic course. This was actually what the event was about. It was about this course that I'd been on. I had a lot of stress going on, and my chat was absolutely appalling. You know, I went over there, and I was like, so, yeah, you know, we introduced ourselves, and she was all very amenable and stuff. And then I was like, yeah, so do you like stuff? Or, you know, something like that. And you could just see the disappointment in her face.
Yeah, that's it. They're disappointed. Yeah,
and you could just see it the attraction draining away. Yep. And in the end, it kind of just dried up, and not it. I mean, the conversation just kind of dried up. Well, probably it as well. It all dried up, and you know, I sort of made my excuses and moved on, and that was it. Now, I'm not just, you know, this isn't just some BS story. I fully believe that if I'd have handled that situation differently, the outcome would have been very, very different. But that wasn't about how I looked. That was about how I acted.
Exactly. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go into, we've got a couple of questions in the chat, but first, maybe we should, do you have a couple of clips you might be able to show?
Do you want to show, shall I show the trailer with the music?
Or I've got tell you what, I've got the page up right here.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
Dating Conversation to Success. I'm going to drop the link is in the chat right now. It's also in the description down below here on YouTube as well. Why don't we just play this little video here? Let's see if we can.
Can you make it bigger? Oh, yeah, you can. Oh, we got no volume.
Oh, is it not coming? Is it? Oh, in that case,
I could share it from my end and then
share it from your end if it's not coming through mine.
Yeah, hold on a sec. I don't know why that is, but
it's because I'm not using my Rodecaster. That's why.
Yeah, hold on a sec. Let me just. I'll do share audio.
I'm using these things.
Right, here we go. Let me know if you can hear. Shall I press play? Have you got it up?
Yes.
Let me see. See if you can hear this.
Yep, you're good.
Cool. So this is basically some content from the course. This is some snippets of some of the things that you'll see.
This is all filmed in London, right?
This is all London, yeah. Yeah. I work with a cameraman there who I wonder if I can can turn this down a little bit. I work with I work with a cameraman there who works with a lot of other dating coaches and stuff. He's very good, very experienced in doing this sort of footage. So
nice. So he's able to like capture the interaction without being caught, basically, without being like.
Exactly. I mean, obviously, you've got to be a little bit sensitive to it. I mean, with all of this stuff, we try to blur people out and things like that. We're trying not to. This isn't about revealing people's identities or anything like that. This is like literally just about using it as a teaching aid to show examples of this stuff. So obviously, in the course. Sorry, carry on.
Pause it for a second, Troy. Let's remind everybody. Let's remind everybody. How old are you, Troy?
46.
You're 46, and I didn't believe it either, folks, when I first heard it. And these women these are like 20-year-old something women.
Many of them are in their 20s. Yes.
So you're like for every dude who's watching, like older guys who are watching this are like, oh, this won't work for me. I'm too old for this shit. Bullshit, motherfucker. This guy is in his 40s and he's gone up and swooping these like 20-year-old girls up their fucking feet. I'm like,
exactly. I mean, look, like age. Age is just a number, man. But no, seriously. I mean, we could get into the whole topic of age differences and things like that. But in general, I think it's fair to say that obviously you've got to try and keep yourself in decent shape and everything. But in general, women do tend to like older guys, or certainly a significant proportion of them like older guys. And you know, it doesn't really, it really doesn't come into become an objection that much. You know?
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, please continue.
Here we go. So obviously, when you go into the course itself, you get all of the audio, so you get to hear you get the full clips, and then you get to hear what's being said. And then after each video, we go into the breakdown section where I'll break it down in minute detail and talk about exactly what's going on and why it's working. And you know, I'll sort of be upfront about this as well. I mean, if I do something that's a bit lame, or you know, I should have done something else, I'll talk about that as well. I'm not saying that I'm perfect or anything. It's just you know, you're seeing real life interactions, and obviously there's a lot of like randomness that comes into play. With these things.
And that's it, because every situation is going to be different. Like they're not all cookie cutter, like exactly the same.
Yes,
because
exactly.
That's just life. Like every girl is going to be different. She's going to respond slightly differently to everything. And there's all these other, especially if you're doing day game stuff, there's all these other factors coming into play.
Well, you get all kinds of things happening, and I've got some videos on here. I've got one video where a guy actually walks into or tries to disrupt the interaction. So you've got that, which is the first time it's ever happened, actually. So that's quite interesting. And then you've got an interaction where I'm talking to one girl, and then it turns out she's actually on her phone to her boyfriend at the same time. So you get to see, like you say, with these daytime things, and even in clubs as well, maybe more in nighttime, you're going to get this sort of randomness. Do you know what I mean? You're going to get this other people coming in and trying to mess things up. And do you know what I mean? And it's sort of like you've got to be prepared to deal with that stuff.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So it's so that's just a little trailer that we did, but that's just an example of some of the types of footage that you get.
Yep. Maybe we can get. There's a couple of questions in the chat. Maybe we should get into some of those, Troy.
Yeah, for sure.
Happy to. If anybody's got any questions for Troy in the chat while we've got him here, drop them in the chat right now. I'm going to make my way through. There was a couple I saw, a few on the way down here. What we get to? I saw a couple in here. Just reminding everybody to smash the like button. Well, Anthony, Art Boy said we were talking about before, waiting to be chosen is like trying to win the lottery. I completely agree with that statement. As far as men are concerned, you don't have to, like, any guy who sort of sits back and sort of tries to. That's the thing now, like with like online dating and with like Instagram and like this kind of stuff, is like a lot of it is like kind of waiting to be chosen to a degree.
Yes.
And sort of presenting yourself as best as you can. Like that's what you would call, like, that's the marketing.
Yes.
Like you are the product and that's the marketing, right? But still, like, if you're not working on the product, being like your ability to hold a goddamn conversation with a woman. If you get her out, even if you get her out on a date, you're not going to fucking close.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can't talk to the girl. Like,
yeah,
the stuff that Troy teaches right now, Troy's teaching in regards to like being able to create a conversation out of thin air with a random girl on the street is going to cross over into being on a date. It's going to cross over into any other interaction you have with a girl. So it's like, you're learning it at the hardest difficulty level.
Yes. Yes.
So everything else is easy mode.
The one other thing to say on that though is that you do get elements of luck as well, but you've got to put yourself. So the difference. So waiting to be chosen is a bad strategy because most of the time you're just not going to get chosen, and if you do, it's not going to be the people you want. But when you're proactive and you're going out and you're socializing and you're talking to loads of different people, meeting loads of different girls, and it could be in the daytime. Could be at nighttime as well, bars. I do say in the course, by the way, although a lot of this is shot in the daytime, that's kind of, it's easier to film and whatever. But these principles also apply in other situations, bars, clubs, lounges, whatever, right? Restaurant lobby, hotel lobbies, whatever, right? I mean, This stuff's pretty universal. What does happen though, when you're putting yourself out there, is that you will experience a bit of luck because sometimes you'll just start talking to a girl and she just really likes you. Yeah. She's just really into you. And then it's kind of easy. Then it's quite easy. She makes it easy for you. So sometimes you get given those little gifts. Mm-hmm. So but you are. They only come along when you're putting yourself out there and you're playing the numbers and you are being proactive. Do you know what I mean?
And that's a key thing there. I'm glad you said that. You got to play the numbers. It's still a numbers game.
Yes,
but like you also have to have like the tools on top of it to even make the numbers game work.
Yeah.
Like you could like I could go up to like 100 women and say you want to fuck, and it's probably not going to work. Like even with 100 women, like you need to have a degree of skill.
Yeah. There. Well, this is what it's about, right? Because again, game naysayers are like, oh, it doesn't work or it's a scam or whatever. But all this is about is improving your odds, but improving your odds with each particular interaction. So you get the skill set down, and then you go out and you socialize with a load of different women, and you use the things that you've learned. And yes, rejection is still a big part of this, but what it means is that you're more likely to get the ones who are sort of amenable to you in the first place, and you're more likely to convert the ones who are maybe, because most girls you meet, maybe not most, but you're going to meet quite a lot of girls who are sort of like, they're kind of on the fence. They think, he's kind of all right. I don't know if I want to jump into bed with him, but it's not a definite no. So, let's see what he's got. And with those girls, if you've got some skills, that you can convert those. So doing this stuff and doing it consistently, it's not that it's going to work every time. It's just that in each case, you're optimizing your likelihood of getting a positive result.
Here's something interesting that you mentioned, which is like women are looking for a reason to reject you. Like guys look for a reason to fuck a chick. Like the guys are looking for the reason to have sex with a girl, which is like they're always, because they want to fuck. So guys are always like, all right, she's got like good legs, so I'll fuck her. She's got like big tits, so I'll fuck her. She got a good ass, so you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not looking like, oh, she doesn't meet all these criteria. Whereas women are kind of the reverse. They're like, all right, he hasn't given me a reason to reject him yet. So I'll keep interacting. Like he still has a chance. He still has a chance, right? And like, one of the easiest ways for a girl to reject you is like, oh, this guy can't hold a fucking conversation with me. This guy's boring. This guy's like this guy's too nice. This guy's boring, nice, like the easiest things for her to reject you on.
Yeah, exactly. And you obviously get a lot less leeway at the beginning. So,
obviously, yeah. Question from Red Dwarf. He says, "What is a quality woman? Looks, trophy wife, obedient gold digger, a good partner in crime. Who should we chase, Troy?"
Well, I mean, like, I don't want to dodge the question, but it is sort of individual, isn't it? Really, I mean, every guy's going to have their own things. I mean, a lot of guys, particularly the slightly more trad guys, is like, oh, she's going to be a high quality woman, good values, no tattoos, all that kind of stuff. I'm a bit like, well, sod that, the more tattoos and piercings, the better, within reason, not all over the face, but you know what I mean? So it's going to be different for everybody, really. So I think you've got to decide for yourself what you want your dating life to look like, and then you've got to pursue that. But regardless, you're still going to have to learn the skills.
Well, that's it. And it's like, look, we're living in a day and age where it's increasingly more competitive for guys. It's becoming increasingly harder for guys to lock down a girl, to find a girl. Because it's like a global sexual marketplace. We talk about this. We're all competing against each other. It's not like you can. It's not like you're in your little 3,000 person town and you're like Bill the Butcher and you can go and marry your high school sweetheart and she's never fucked anybody else. You know what I mean? So what I will say to this question is, like, regardless of what you're looking for, okay, if you're looking for a good, quote unquote, good girl, a high quality woman, if you're a trad type, even then, you gotta be able to slay them all. Like you gotta slay a few dragons to get to the princess, mate. Like you need the skill set in this day and age, because like you might be able to find like a fucking unicorn. My best friend, I think he might even be in the chat right now. He found a fucking unicorn.
Right.
But he spent like a year looking for one.
Yes.
Like, that was his focus, but like one of his main focuses in his life for like a year was to find a fucking unicorn.
Yeah.
And he had help with it as well, but he found one.
Yeah.
So it's like but he's also like stupidly high value guy. You know,
right.
He's like, it's a no-brainer for basically any woman that meets him. Like super masculine, like tons of money, highly intelligent, like physically capable, very, very fit. Like it's obvious. So even then, he found a unicorn. But he also has the ability. But years ago, he developed the skill sets to talk to women.
Yeah.
So he still had the fucking skills. So like, all these guys who are like, oh, like don't waste your time with like hoes or they all belong to the street stuff. Well, okay, but could you get her into bed? Could you seduce her? Because if you couldn't, then you're kind of fucking. It's like it's mental masturbation, mate.
Yeah.
Because like if you couldn't seduce her if you couldn't seduce this chick you didn't want, then I don't think you're going to be able to seduce the girl you do want, really.
Yes. Yes. Yeah? Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
Do you agree? Or do you disagree with that, Troy?
No, I agree. And I mean, like, there's two things, isn't there? There's one is, how do you know what a high quality woman is unless you've sampled a few different ones from the chocolate box?
Exactly.
There's that. And secondly, there is the, like all of these guys on Twitter, if she's got tattoos and if she's, I don't know, whatever, like she's low quality, so I'm not going to talk to her. But the problem with that is that when you do see that unicorn, if you even can identify her as being a unicorn, but if you do see that amazing girl, you're like, oh my God, she's amazing. If you haven't become sort of fluent with this stuff, then you're not going to be able to attract her. It's unlikely you're going to be able to attract her anyway. So,
Exactly. I'm glad you hit the nail on the head, right? The point I was trying to make, you nailed it. And here's the other thing: like you really don't know if a girl is a good girl until after you've fucked her.
Yes.
Like you really don't, like because like what makes a good girl? Okay, well if I was going to chalk it up to like one thing, it would probably be loyalty, right? It'd be like her ability to I might even change that to like submission, if I'm being honest, because submission can kind of encompass loyalty. So let's say like, okay, is she submissive to you? Does she fall into the frame of like this? He is my man, and what comes along with that? Well, loyalty comes along with that. Her being submissive to you comes along that. Following your lead, doing like following your instruction. Yeah, that makes a good. In my that makes a good girl. Okay, cool. Yeah, and the more guys and women is fucked, the less likely she is to do that for any particular guy. Yeah, that is a pretty fair assessment of how women's behavior changes the more guys they fuck. Yes, they're less likely to be kind of like loyal like that, or die hard, ride or die, like die hard loyal. Yeah, but you can't really assess that in a woman until after you've had sex with her, to be unless she's unless she's literally a virgin. Like, if she's literally a virgin, well, okay, then you're basically the one man she has to compare to. And even then, how do you really, good luck finding one? But then the other side of that coin is, and this is something that Tristan said, is that if you're not looking for that, if you're just looking for some temporary fun or whatever, then really, like, who cares, really? It doesn't. So a lot of this stuff that gets talked about in the so-called manosphere is all kind of bollocks, really, because it doesn't really matter, about. I mean, look, you can have a rotation of women coming in and out of your bed who you don't take seriously, who are just friends with benefits, and then simultaneously be looking for a long-term partner. These two things don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
You know?
But the key thing that guys need to understand, and that actually I only really learned when I studied this stuff, is that regardless of the outcome you want, you still need to know the skills. You still need game. If you want to meet that amazing, beautiful, vaginal, innocent woman and get married and have 9 kids with her, or if you want to play the field in Vegas, the fundamental skill sets are the same because the dynamics fundamentally are the same.
Yeah. Yep. Interesting question here from Davina. I'm going to take this in a different angle though. She says, "What happens if the person you're talking to turns out to be as dumb as a post? Do you hit the eject button?" So
no, I like that. I'm only joking.
Well, my spin on this is going to be like, what do you do when the girl is so like you kind of get the impression that she might be a little bit socially awkward herself, and she doesn't know how to go back and forth with a guy.
Yes.
What do you do in that situation?
Well, that can be difficult because, as we were saying, I think we were saying earlier about girls not having necessarily so much chat because they are often, not always, but often they're being approached a lot, and so they don't necessarily have to develop it as much as guys. Although that's not always true. You'd get some very feisty girls with good chat as well. But yeah, when that happens, it's really. Then it becomes even more necessary to be able to bring out some of the conversational skills, and particularly things like storytelling, for example. Now, there's a long section on storytelling in the course, going to in quite a lot of detail. And when I say storytelling, we're not necessarily talking about being Charles Dickens here. We're not talking. It doesn't need to be this amazing, like long rolling narrative, but you've got to be able to hold the frame for a while. You've got to be able to command her attention and just talk for a while, because often. And this can be in the daytime, but this can be in a bar, in a lounge, whatever. This happens a lot. Sometimes the girl will either be a bit shy and not know what to say, or she will just feel like, well, what's he got? Let's see what he's got. And you have to fill that gap. And this is something we were going into in when I was teaching on the event last week with James. There were guys there, and they really came up against this problem. It's like you can go up and say, "Hey, I just saw you look cute. I wanted to come say hello." Well, okay, but then what? And if you haven't got anything to come back with, then she can just go, "Yeah, thanks," and then walk off, and then it's done. So you've got to be able to fill that space. And the thing is as well, if you've approached her, then it's kind of your job to do that, isn't it? You don't just walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, I'm here."
Yeah, and expect them to provide the bulk of the conversation for you. Yeah,
so
that's exactly right.
You've got to be able to fill that gap. And what most of us default to, which is very easy to default to, is questions, right? Because that's sort of, so where are you from? What do you do? How long have you lived there? Do you like it here? Blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? But that's not a good thing to do because, again, you're making her do the work. And why should she do the work before she thinks before she knows anything about you? Exactly.
Like you've got to convey like a bit of personality. You've got to convey a bit of like social acuity.
Yes.
And you're leading the conversation. You've got to lead the conversation in a certain direction, right?
Yes, exactly.
What do we get to? Let's see if there's any more. We have many more questions in the chat here. What do we get to? Keep going. Quick super chat here from So Phenomenal $2 super chat. Thank you very much, sir. You miss every shot you don't take. Well, that's exactly the point here, right?
Exactly.
We want you guys to start taking shots.
Exactly.
Here we go. There was a question here. Question: what would you do if every 10 to 15 meters men hit on your girl while you're holding her hand? Does this actually happen?
I don't know. I can't really think of a.
I've never seen this happen in my entire life.
It's a bit of a unlikely hypothetical situation, unless you're going to Rio Sauna in London, in Kentish Town, where you've got a load of horny guys hanging out to try and bang every woman that comes in. And if an attractive woman comes in, they'll try. But most of them are pretty low value, so it's not really a problem.
Well, there you go. Fine.
But I think in most cases that's not going to happen.
Classified Chappie says, I'm currently in my younger 20s and learning to engage in game terms is starting to help me being comfortable trying it out versus hearing many other examples when it comes to my family. That wasn't a question. Never mind. Here's a good question. Is it good? I'm going to turn this into a question. Andrew Young says, are most guys really so lame? They can't feel comfortable in uncomfortable situations. I mean, you just ran a boot camp on the weekend, Troy.
Yeah.
And maybe you can attest to this. A lot of guys, like, they are really, like, uncomfortable putting themselves in that unfamiliar situation of walking up to a stranger.
Yeah, a lot of guys are. I mean, not all, because like I say, with the particular this thing that we did last weekend, we had guys of differing sort of abilities there. But yes, I mean, in general, a lot of guys, just the very act of going up to someone that you find attractive and putting your balls on the line, which is kind of what you've got to do, they find very uncomfortable and they don't want to do it. And when you think about it, we've become so soft as a society, haven't we? Because a couple of generations ago, our grandparents were going to war and all of that stuff. And now it's like, oh, I can't walk up to a girl outside H&M and tell her she looks pretty.
Like your grandparents, like your great grandparents, were running into machine gun fire, for fuck's sake. You can go talk to a girl.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's a question from Julian. It says, what countries do you think have the most submissive / peaceful women? Have you done a lot of traveling to other countries? Sorry.
Well, I'm in Europe, so I don't know where Julian is, but I mean, I've been to the States, I've gamed in the States, but I sort of spend a lot of time kind of around Europe and a bit of Russia and so on and so forth. I would say the Eastern European countries and Russia, you certainly have more of that for sure, and obviously some of the Asian countries as well. So I think probably anywhere except the Anglosphere West, really, which is kind of like probably like it's why we're all doing these shows because we've got a particularly unique sort of problem.
Sort of problem, yeah, basically. Yeah. Like the masculine and feminine roles are kind of like butting heads. This is an idea that I was introduced to recently. Let's see if I can. Drop it down here for a second. It was this idea that like women in the West are like they're projecting. So like they're trying to be what they actually want in a man. So you see women who are trying to be strong, trying to be independent, trying to make six figures, trying to be combative, assertive, dominant, be trying to lead. They're projecting what they actually want in a guy, and they've been taught wrong, they've been raised wrong. They don't realize that that's not what attracts that guy.
Yes.
Like they're trying to compete with him rather than like attract him. It's actually repelling the guy rather than attracting that kind of guy.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting concept.
Well, that guy, the poster just said that he's in Thailand actually, and I would have thought Thailand actually is I don't know what it's like for locals, but that is probably a bit more like you're probably better off where you are. Don't worry about coming to the West, mate. You're fine unless it's to make money. In that case, you might want to come out here. Free or Dead says many women I approach. I saw. By the way, can I just say I saw on Twitter today. Apparently now they're starting to talk about the Thai variant of COVID. So we've had the Indian variant. The Indian variant is the one that everyone's worried about here, and now we've got the Thai one. And I saw somebody wrote a tweet. He said. I'm going to start ordering my takeaway meals by the different variants that are coming out. So last week he was having Indian, now it's Thai. So let's hope we get like an Italian variant or something.
Okay, yeah, we'll keep our eyes peeled for that one. Free or Dead says many women I approached were initially interested, but became disinterested during the date or via text. What to talk when there's nothing to talk about, when there are no commonalities.
Well, you have to create commonalities, and this is the art and the beauty of, say, storytelling, for example. You have to create. You're creating something out of thin air. That's what a conversation is. You've got one person sitting there, you've got the other person sitting there. There's nothing, and then you've got to. I mean, there might be something if you're at like a Elvis Appreciation Society, then you're talking about Elvis. But you've got to find it and you've got to create it yourself, and that is the whole essence of what we're talking about here. Now, that's not to say that you can always do it and it's always going to be successful, because some people you're just you're just too far away from. You're just not on that same plane, and you know, you've got to chalk that up to the game. But this is really what the course teaches. It's like, okay, so how do I create something out of nothing?
Exactly.
It starts off actually with statements and observations. You know, you make observations about her. You look French. You look like you're in a hurry. You look like you are a high class jeweler, not a high class hooker, a high class jeweler. You look like you are a politician. Do you know what I mean? You're putting stuff out there, and then you're seeing what comes back, and then you're building out of that. You know,
that's a really like powerful tool for guys.
Yes,
that one thing, that one frame change will get, you can use that again and again and again. Statements, not questions.
Yeah.
Like just and that's what's called cold reading as well. It's like trying to read something, and it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong, because either way, it's going to get a response out of the girl. It's like if I say to a girl, "You look like a politician," or whatever, it's like either she's going to be like, "Oh my God, you're absolutely right. I'm a politician," or "I'm in law," or something, right? Or she could be like, "Why the hell do you think I look like a politician?" Like and that's kind of like push pull. It's kind of like either way, it's a good response because it's just a statement. It doesn't like it, and I think guys are too logical with their approach to this stuff because men talk to men totally differently. The way that men need to talk to women.
Yes,
they're two different things. Like you've got to understand that. Guys are very logical to the point. It's like it's got to make sense. There's rationality involved. Throw all that shit out the window when you're talking to a woman. The less it makes the less kind of like rational the conversation, it tends to do better.
Well, yes, exactly. And there's quite a subtle point here as well. But basically, if you are also bringing some sexual intensity to the interaction, or some sexual undercurrent to the situation, then actually, precisely what you say in those initial interactions, it doesn't really matter so much. And obviously, you're bringing that sexuality through eye contact, through proximity, maybe a little bit of touch and stuff like that. But an example of this: so we were out with a guy at the boot camp last week, and I was with him, and he went up and talked to a woman who was working in a shop, and he walked in, and this guy he was just able to bring, he had that swagger, he was just able to bring it with that sort of sexual energy, and he just walked up to this girl, and he was just like, "You look very cute, you're very cute, and you're very busy, so I'm going to keep this brief." And he just looked at her, and it was very clear, and he got very close to her, and she just spazzed out. She was just, "Oh my God, you know, this hasn't happened to me for ages. Oh my God!" Like, and there was that sexual, because we were listening, we could see and hear what was happening, and there was that sexual intensity to it. And then he started talking just complete nonsense. So basically, this dude was Welsh, and there was like a flower display by where she was, and he was like, "Yeah, daffodils are a big deal in Wales," and she's going, "Yeah, daffodils." And he's like literally, they were talking bollocks. But this girl was going crazy because of the sexual intensity, the undercurrent that he brought to it. Okay. So all that stuff can really do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And although this whole course is hung on the hook of conversation, which is about verbals, the reality is the more of that undercurrent you're bringing, the actual words you're saying, and it doesn't really need to be that impressive. It doesn't need to be. We're not talking about logical. We're not talking about being William Shakespeare. Do you know what I mean? It's like, So you need to do both. You need to have some ideas around the verbals, but even more importantly than that is what you're not saying, but what you're conveying with your body and your eye contact and all that. And
also like that emotion that you bring to the interaction, like you said, like that sexual charged emotion. When you're feeling that emotion, that is going to subconsciously sort of like dictate the words that come out of your mouth in a way. It's going to it's going to help that. It's going to help those kinds of speech patterns come out more naturally, if that makes sense. It might be a bit hard for guys to kind of understand that concept, but it's like you're kind of accessing a part of your brain that is that flirtatious guy. By being in that flirtatious state of mind or that flirtatious emotional state first, then then that starts to come out more naturally, and it's not as hard, you know. So like you go there emotionally first. Of like feel like sexually charged when you're approaching, rather than feeling like nervous and anxious. You feel like if you kind of like if you see a girl that you genuinely find attractive, it's never a bad thing to be like, aroused. Obviously not fucking, you're not going to go up and like grope the bitch, but to be aroused when you're talking to her. Well, that's going to come across.
It literally, not literally. Well, yeah, absolutely. So as an example, I did an approach the other day, and the girl was very attractive. And then when I started talking to her, I realized that she was even perhaps more attractive than I'd initially thought. So I mean, she was a proper like Instagram type, girl, whatever. And what you often find, and I shared this with the guys in our private chat group from the boot camp, and I was saying what you often find is that it's those girls that the interaction tends to go better, the conversation tends to go better because there's more spark, there's more, there's just that thing to it because you can both feel it. That's somebody else buying the course, by the way. So thank you very much.
Oh, nice. There you go.
If it's somebody watching the stream, thanks very much for coming on board. It's good to have you. But yeah, it's like she can feel it. Whereas if sometimes guys will let themselves off the hook and they'll say, well, I'll go and approach that girl because I don't actually find her as attractive, but it's going to be easier. Right. So they go in and then the vibe isn't as good.
Yep.
It's crazy how it happens, And again, disclaimer here for the naysayers. I'm not saying you're going to get every really girl that you find really hot. It's not like that. But it's just that those interactions do tend to go better because of the energy that they create.
No, exactly. There's one more question up here. Oh, there was. Would you leave a woman at the dinner table if she orders a pizza with pineapple on it? If so, how fast?
Probably not. I actually quite like pizza with pineapple, so I'd probably be on board with that.
That's it. I'm ending the stream right now. We're done. It's off.
Yeah.
Well, look, we've been going on for about an hour now, Troy. But I won't keep you on for too long. I'm just going to drop the link in the chat one more time. You guys can go check out Troy's course. I'm going to pop it up here.
I could show a quick clip if you like, or if we haven't got time.
Yes, absolutely. Please do.
All right, let me find something. Hold on a second.
I'm just going to while you're doing that, while you're finding that, I'm just going to show you guys the landing page here. So there's multiple tiers here as well. You were saying. Maybe you can explain that really quickly for the guys.
Yeah, basically. Okay, so basically there's 3 tiers. So there is the silver tier, and then gold, and then platinum. So silver tier you get is the lowest cost. It's only $150 today, and you get basically access to the video course, obviously the ebook, everything that's in the course. Plus you get lifetime access to that stuff. So as we update it, you'll get those updates as well. Gold tier is all of that. Plus you get to come into a private Telegram group. And you also get to come into 5 Zoom calls that we're going to be doing in June as well. Mm-hmm. And then there's also a platinum tier. And this is for people who are really, serious about sort of changing this area of their lives. With that, you get everything in the gold tier. So you get the Zoom webinars as well. Plus, you also get 3 private one-on-one coaching sessions with me also.
Oh, there you go.
And that one is $500. So you've got, I think gold tier is $250. That one's $500. But they're all doubling in price tomorrow. So if you want to jump on board, then today is a good day to do it because the prices are going up tomorrow on all of the tiers.
Well, better do it right away, guys. And then, like I said before, I'm posting it again. The link's in the chat right now. There's a link in the description down below. And you said you might have you got a couple of videos for us, Troy. So I'll just stop sharing that one.
Let me just go. Why is that not working? Oh. I've got to stop that. That's why. Right. Let's try this.
How often do you stream these awesome tips? Well, Troy streams every damn day, don't you, Troy?
Yeah, most days during the week. Most days during the week, I do a stream. Okay, so I've got I've got it up, as they say.
Hey-o.
So this is what happens when you come on board with the course and you purchase and you go through the page that Stirling just showed. Then you come here, and this is obviously your course curriculum. You can see here all of the stuff that you get. So we've got an intro, some information there. Then we've got warm-ups. And this is where you're seeing the actual demos. So you've got warm-ups. Then you've got quick conversations where contact details are exchanged. Then you've got full-length conversations. and there's a lot of those. That's the biggest part. Then you've got rejections, because we like to be upfront with this stuff, and you're not always gonna get the positive outcome. But this shows you that rejection is not so scary, and they can actually be quite positive still.
And you'll break down those interactions as well, right?
Yeah, it's all broken down. So what you have, you can see here. So Bulgarian, and then Bulgarian breakdown, not a Bulgarian breaking down, but me breaking it down. We've got Italian girl, Italian girl
just crying in the corner.
Yeah. You've got, so all the way through, you've got Colombian and Romanian girls, and then you've got Colombian and Romanian girls breakdown. And you can see here, this video, that first video is 5 minutes long. The breakdown is 13 minutes long. So you get like a really in-depth sort of look at it. Then you've got this video, which is going through the 12 key conversation secrets. Then we've got a day game presentation, basically going through the rudiments of that. And then we've got the course book, which is 60 pages long as a PDF, plus also the audio book, which Jack Napier narrates. So you can go through that. But
there's a ton of value there.
There's a lot in here. There's over 5 hours worth of video content in here. So what we can do, we can have a look at one of the interactions. I mean, let's have a look at this, because this girl was quite pretty. So then you go into the thing, and obviously you get the, oh shit, can you hear that?
No, I can't hear that one.
Let me put this up. Can you hear that?
No.
Can you hear that?
Unfortunately, no.
I could try. Shall I try once more? I don't know why that is. Oh, actually, well, all right. Let me try one more time. Chrome, share audio. Let's just try this one more time and see.
Yeah, we'll try one more time.
Can you hear that?
Oh, well, let me put it on the stream. Hang on. Oop. Yeah, now we got it. Now we can hear it. Yep.
Is that okay? Right. So basically, I'll start this again. Basically, what happens is the cameraman doesn't quite pick this up at the beginning, but I open her because there's been a little bit of, she's looked at me and smiled. I've looked at her and smiled, and she's wearing this puffy silver coat, which is a Prada coat. So I comment on that, and that's how it opens. So you can hear me talking to her, and then you'll see us in a second when the cameraman gets it.
No, I do, seriously. I really like your coat because I'm a big fan of silver, and it's like silver, it's puffy, it's warm. You got it going on. You're from London?
Well, right now, yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. You are studying art history.
Actually, I'm from University of Art.
Are you? I could tell because you got that kind of.
Some things we have to.
Really? So you're a bit more of a commercial lady, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. I could tell you got that kind of creative vibe about you.
Thank you.
And you're originally from.
Ukraine.
Oh no! Seriously.
Why?
Seriously.
Why no?
Because I was in Kiev last year, and it's a cool city. It's a lot of fun. I like the parties and there's some nice.
Go?
Why did I go? I've got some friends living there actually, because some of my friends, they're working in like digital content creation.
This girl, by the way, I have to say, was pretty cute. She scrubbed up really well, and if you look at her Instagram, she
looks pretty cute.
She's pretty cute, yeah. She's a young Ukrainian girl. She's a student in London.
Marketing and stuff, and I've got a group of friends who are like based in Ukraine now. So yeah, but the women there are crazy.
Yeah, I could tell.
My mum warned me, but at the moment, because I wanted to actually go there this fall, but I'm not sure if we can go in at the moment, or I think the borders are open actually.
Yeah, they are. Everything is open at the moment. They're only closed up till June.
I like the way you say close.
No, they are closed.
No, I like the way you're pronouncing close. You say I only close.
I guess that's my funny accent.
You can kind of tease a little bit, you can throw some little gags in there or whatever.
It's not funny. It's nice.
Thank you.
But it's closed. They'll keep it open at the moment, right?
Well, yeah, for now. However, there are talks that after the election, they might.
The elections.
Oh, really? When's the election?
25th of October.
Really?
Yeah.
We better run. We better go tonight.
No, I'm not coming back. I just came. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you? So are you from Kiev or from somewhere else? Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The party place?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're out on
yeah,
the
I
beach.
didn't know that. Yeah.
You're out on the beach bar, like the party tunes.
Well, not as much because there are so many tourists.
They say it's like the Ibiza of.
So you see, with something like that, it turns out she's actually from Odessa, but you're creating this thing out of nothing. Now, to be fair, I do ask her a few questions in this, but she gives you the prompt, which is "I'm from this particular town," and then you say something about that town. You make an observation, okay? You know, you're drawing the thing out.
Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I was gonna go this year, or I was tempted to go this year, but of course everything's just been thrown out of.
Obviously, yeah.
You know. But again, a friend of mine goes there. He said it's very nice. He said the ladies are very beautiful, very classy, a little bit dangerous.
Not always classy though.
Not always classy though.
I like that. I like we dropped you through in like a little bit dangerous. I like that.
Yeah. And it's a little bit naughty of her to say they're not always classy, which I pick up on.
You speak from personal experience?
I just know that, and I know the stereotypes, and sometimes they're true. In most cases, actually.
But the thing about that is, right, I mean, if you think about the stereotypes of British women, some of those are
80% of the time they're true.
some of those are true as well, let's face it. So, you know. But you're enjoying London so far?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool.
So you can see from this, by the way, she's not really giving me very much. I mean, she's clearly, you know, she's standing there. She's kind of interested. She's got the eye contact. She's smiling. But she's making me do the bloody work.
But
you know what I mean?
She's not walking away either.
No,
she's not like ending. She's not trying to end the conversation. It's like I look at this and I'm like, she just doesn't know what to do because it's like it's not a super common situation for a girl to put in.
It's not. And I mean, if you look at this, just where we freeze framed here, I mean, she's smiling at me. She's looking at me in the eye. I mean, I think there was interest here from her side, but you know, again, it doesn't mean she's going to give you an easy ride. And I'm not. You've got to be able to fill that space. You got
to endure that. And a lot of guys will think like, oh, a good interaction has to be like she's fawning all over you, giggling from it like all the time, and like giving you a million responses. No, like this is a typical.
This is more real.
This is a realistic expectation of what it's like. You're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to lead the conversation. And if she's not walking away, it's a good sign.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Well, and she gives you her phone number. So let's see what.
Exciting. Got the culture. The history.
I was here for about 3 years.
You got the guys. You got everything you want.
How do you know that?
How do you know that?
I
just, that's my sense. I just get that vibe.
Okay.
But I've lived in London for a long time, so I enjoy it here. It's my home city. It's a place I feel that kind of.
So you live here your whole life?
Well, I've also lived in Manchester. I lived in Berlin. I've lived briefly in Spain, so I've been to some different places. But where I would quite like to live is Russia, actually. But it's difficult to do that at the moment.
Well, yeah, everything is difficult to do at the moment.
I know. Yeah. So you are out shopping today?
Well, I'm just browsing at the moment. I just had nothing to do, so.
So you're just floating around?
Yeah, because we have limited like.
I can move this on a little.
But another time, I would love to take you for coffee because you seem like a cool girl. So how about we exchange numbers and then we'll take it from there. Okay. What is your name? Sorry. Very traditional. Troy.
Very traditional. I like that.
Yeah.
You can make it like this is the thing. You can make a comment on like anything. You can make a comment on anything and everything, and it's like and it makes it funny and like. The sound. It doesn't matter what her name is. You can say something about it.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to work with what she gives you. So obviously at this point, I've passed her my phone. She's entering her phone number into it. I'm just sort of chatting, keep it, because you don't want that awkward silence when.
Yeah.
So she gets out her phone because they always forget their number. So she's now putting her.
You were studying in college at London as well. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I lived there for a bit. Whereabouts?
So you see, at this point, you can sort of, because she's given me the number now, so it's pretty clear that it's kind of set. So now you can turn the heat down a little bit and be a little bit less sort of playery and a little bit more just kind of normal,
No, seriously.
Yeah.
I lived in for a while when I was a kid.
Why?
I know, it's terrible, isn't it? It wasn't my fault. It was my parents.
Okay.
I had a I had a deprived childhood. They forced me to live in. Are you on WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, I will message you later.
And there you have it.
Yeah. That's it. It's like it's not super like magic. You know, it's just it guys think it has to be this sort of explosive dynamic like interaction. It's
Well,
getting like this is really like simple, smooth, like basic stuff. It's like,
well, generally speaking, you're not going to get that dynamic. I mean, you might get that, what you're talking about, you might get that once in a blue moon, but in general, you're not, you know, because what you're doing is something that's pretty unusual, you know, particularly with these daytime things. And as I say, the principles in this apply at nighttime as well, in bars, whatever.
Yep.
But you know, you're not going to get those you know, like in reality. It can sometimes be awkward. There is stuff going on around you. You know, obviously she's sort of unsure, you know, and all the rest of it. I mean, with this one, there was interest there from the beginning because, as I say, she looked at me and she gave me a smile and we started talking. But even then, it doesn't mean that she's just going to go, oh yeah, okay, fine, let's go for drinks now, right? I mean, you've still got to do the running. And like I say, with this one, she was quite sort of withdrawn, really. She wasn't giving me a lot, and you'll see I was throwing out lots of different things. I was like, what about Moscow, what about this, what about that? And she was sort of like stonewalling it a little bit. So you know, you've got to be prepared for this. Having said that, we were then in contact, and then we went out several times before Christmas. So this was one that led to an outcome, but yeah, I mean, it's like this. So we break down each of these interactions, talk about what's happening, what's going well, what's less going well, you know.
nice. I like that. It's good stuff, Troy. See, I'm glad that, like I said before at the very beginning, I'm glad someone's like putting this stuff out there, like actually showing these dudes like, here is what an interaction looks like with a woman, for God's sake, guys.
Exactly.
Now get out there and copy it. Get out there and do it.
Exactly. Is it worth showing just a very quick bit of the breakdown?
If you've got some time, if you've got time.
Like literally just 2 seconds, just so they can see what happens then. Because
Absolutely.
so you have that.
That one. Oh, there we go.
Right. Okay. So you have this, and then you go back into the course, and then the next video then is the breakdown. So here, so what we're going to see here is you get me
Art history
talking through it, entry and great and everything, and then you start to subtly pull it back a little bit, and that makes her want to come after you in a literal sense. So let's just see that again. It's very, very subtle. I don't want to overstate this, but I think it does underline that point.
It's a vibe about you.
Thank you.
And you're originally from
Ukraine.
Oh no, seriously.
Why?
Seriously.
It's that moment there that I'm talking about in this breakdown by the moment, because I sort of angle my body slightly away from her. I pull back slightly, and you see her step forward just slightly. Okay. So, but anyway, so what we're seeing here, all of these breakdown videos, you've got me analyzing the video, pulling out the important key points, etc., etc., etc. The points that maybe you might have missed, and you get that for each one of the videos.
There you go, guys. So if you want to jump on it, today's the day to do it, because, like you said, the price goes up on tomorrow, right? You said the price jumps up tomorrow, right?
It goes up tomorrow, yes.
Yeah,
it goes up tomorrow.
So jump on it today, and while you're at it, use the link in the description below. Use the link here in the chat right now. Anything else you'd like to let everyone know before we wrap up here, Troy?
Not really, no. I mean, just, it's been a lot of fun putting this together. There's a lot of information and detail in here. And the Zoom webinars we're going to be doing in a week or so, they're going to be a blast as well. There's going to be a ton more info in that. You know, maybe we'll get some guests in. If you're around Stirling, welcome, obviously, to come in. It'll be a pleasure, honor to have you. And if you join at this point, this is the lowest price points this thing's going to be at, and we will be adding more as we go through, because the great thing about this is now that I've got this sort of format, I can just create more of these videos and put them in, and we can have more sections, we can have more interactions, we can break them down. So this is something that could expand over time. So if you join now, then you're going to get the very best value for that.
Excellent. Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you for joining us again today. Don't forget to smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. And don't forget to go check out Troy's channel. Where can everyone find you on YouTube as well, Troy?
Just search for Troy Francis and you'll find my channel. And yeah, please subscribe there as well. It'd be great.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you once again, Troy. And you have a fantastic day. Hopefully, is the sun out there in London right now?
It's getting a bit better.
It's getting a little bit better?
It's not as horrendous as it was last weekend, put it that way.
All right, good. Well, hopefully it gets a little bit better. It's not going to be as good as Florida, though, mate.
It won't be. Absolutely, man. I'll be over there soon.
Well, we'll